All right, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jebb and Greencast. I'm your host Tyler Green. With me, as always, is Vinyl Man Jebb, and our guest today is Pete Donnelly from the Figs.
Hey Pete,
Pete,
how
how
are
are
you?
you?
Hey man, I'm doing great.
All
Perfect.
right, sweet. So, what artists and bands have influenced you as a musician?
Um, well, it's hard to say. I mean, there's so many. Um, I think there's some obvious ones and some not so obvious ones. I definitely grew up listening to a lot of classic rock, had older brothers, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, and then during the 80s, we were really into SST records, Homestead, so Black Flag, Husker Du, Minutemen, stuff like that. But I was always really into early American music, so rhythm and blues, blues, jazz. I love power pop and stuff, but I tend to listen to mostly music that isn't really like the music I create.
Huh.
Yeah, okay. What got you into being a musician?
Um, I think being the youngest of brothers, what was a big part of it, wanting to keep up with those guys. My oldest brother brought home a drum set. My other brother got a guitar, and so as a 12-year-old, I needed to be in on that. So my dad got me a bass, and it kind of
Mm,
ran from there.
another Partridge Family, nice.
Yeah, yeah, we were called Human Slug, and
Oh, there
our
you go. I like
anthem was
that.
Brain Dead.
Human slug. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What's as a musician, what have been some of your favorite collaborations?
For me,
Yeah, for you. Yeah.
oh man, I mean, I'm always looking for another one. I just love the idea of getting together with people and creating something out of nothing. So, I mean, they're all really part of my favorite. I love being in the band with the Figs guys. There's a communication there that it just can't be beat. Um, but I've had some pretty incredible experiences playing with all kinds of people. Um, Great songwriters like Mike Viola, Graham Parker,
Oh, yes.
um, getting to go out to California and hang out with Shelby Lynne in her studio and just spend days sitting on the floor and writing and recording. It was a pretty spectacular experience.
So you were speaking about Graham Parker. So what was it like working as Graham Parker's U.S. tour backing band? And I think you're on an album as well, correct?
Yeah, well, there's a few recorded things with Graham. I mean, first of all, it was great working with Graham. It's funny, people think he's like a really sinister guy, but he's a real dear sweetheart, a real tea drinking Englishman. So we became friends.
Just from hearing that name alone, I definitely get that tea
Oh
drinking
yeah.
good guy vibe from him.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he's kind of he's pretty pointed, and with his lyric writing, I was just thinking about mercury poisoning today. Leaving a record company and writing a diatribe against them in your first record afterwards is pretty pointed, but he says it like it is. He's a real sweetheart, and he was great to us, and we formed a lifelong friendship. The Figs did one studio album with him, maybe a couple live records, one official, and I think at least one official bootleg. And I played on a record of his called Deep Cut to Nowhere with the original drummer from the Rumor, and that was
Ah, cool.
yeah, those guys hadn't played together
yeah.
in like 20 years or something.
That's awesome. My friend Owen Radford, who's been up on the show, he's one of my many friends who knows music. He actually got me into the Figs and Graham Parker. So he's like, you got to ask him about Graham Parker. So
Hmm.
there. Shout out to Owen for that one. Now
Great.
my next questions to go back to the Figs a little bit. Out of all the albums you guys make, you got tons of catalog. What was like your favorite or most memorable, maybe studio experience within that time?
Well, I mean, favorite's always tough.
Yeah, oh,
Every,
definitely.
every period has something about it that's cool. I mean, you can't deny that our first experience with record label money and going into a really cool studio in Woodstock in the woods and
Ah,
for a month was a very, very cool experience for a 21-year-old. Um, it was a little intimidating then. I kind of wish I had the head on my shoulders now going back then, but that's always the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, um, now being a studio nerd, I've spent my life in the studio collecting gear and making records. It just seems so familiar to me now. But then seeing that huge console and the tape machine, you felt like you were on the deck of Star Trek.
yes.
I mean,
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
was pretty awesome. But
You just have to resist the urge to push all the
yeah,
buttons.
You're like,
Yeah.
what did this one do? No, you're selling a record. But honestly, also the setting up in houses has always been one of my favorite things. The Figs have always been good at that. I collected gear I would set up in houses. There's a record, Slow Charm, where we set up in a house in New Hampshire and recorded. That was really fun. I just love that experience of being guerrilla style studio.
Yeah, I do love that. I'm a big gearhead myself, so I always love hearing everybody's stories about, you know, how they collected all this gear and how they still use a lot of it to this day. So yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, the analog stuff. I mean, I'm right now. I'm down in my studio. I'm surrounded by heaps of gear.
That's the dream.
Rush.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right now I've just been addicted to watching videos on four-track cassette players and how people still use them.
That's awesome.
You know, like create demos and stuff like that. I saw a guy who created a whole live band recording with just 4 tracks. It was pretty good. It was pretty insane.
I made whole records on 4 tracks. There's quite a few Figs releases that are 4-track.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's some of the 45s and stuff where we'd be set up in my bedroom in the 90s and just you'd bounce down tracks. You could get up to 10 tracks on a 4-track or something.
Oh wow.
What are some of your favorite songs that you've written with the Figs?
Oh man. I don't know. Those are questions, I think. For my favorites, I don't know. I have weird feelings about songs. In some ways, they're not written for me. I know it's like a cliche, but I feel like songwriting is kind of a conduit. You know, I'm just a conduit. And my favorite songwriting experiences have been ones that have been probably the easiest, where songs just flow out of you. I love it when songs do that. On the other hand, I love buckling down and working on songs for days sometimes. I love that obsession of getting a song just right. I know I really didn't answer your question. The truth is, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know if that I'm comfortable saying what my favorite songs are. I kind of like them to be... Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's kind of like the favorite record thing. I feel differently every day, so I don't really have a favorite or favorite song. I think they all appeal to different aspects of my life, and every day when we write set lists, I don't want to play the same song over and over again. You know what I mean? If it's my favorite. I mean, honestly, okay, there's a song, Waiting for the Sun to Rise. I love that song, you know. I think it's kind of sounds arrogant to be like, oh, I love my own song, but I think it's a really unique and cool song, and I feel psyched that I was able to write that.
And it's totally okay to be happy that you've written a song as, you know, as good as that, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like a similar experience too. It's like writing is it's an interesting it's like an ability that you're able to kind of tell stories that sometimes aren't your own. And I feel like it's an amazing experience.
It's like you're living vicariously through someone else.
Yeah, definitely. So I love to hear
someone else's experience
from someone who's been like touring and doing all the stuff that you've done, Pete, and to be able to hear that it's okay to like write as somebody else is like amazing.
It is. I feel like songwriting, you know, you use your own life as fodder, but the reality is once you start writing a song, there are no rules, you know. People often say, well, what's that song about? And I'm like, what's it about to you? I mean, I just took a tangent with an idea, and it may be partly true, it might be partly fiction, it might be partly someone else, I've experienced her myself, but you just kind of let it go. And so the truth is irrelevant in a song. It's the truth is how it makes you feel when you listen to it.
And that's amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned touring too. What are some of your favorite memories from being on the road as a touring musician?
Yeah, it's funny because, like, you asked that question again. The first thing I think of is sort of the horrors of the road. The boredom, the tiredness, the sickness, being, like, horribly ill and having to get on stage. And,
oh, jeez.
You know,
oh, God, yeah.
Food poisoning and still, like, jumping off to the stage out the back door and puking in the alley. You know, those things are kind of your favorite moments of being able to say, wow.
Let me just say it. Musicians are troopers.
Yes.
We put up with so much bullshit that
it's self-inflicted, a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Which is fair. That's
you know, you gotta. I always say it's a life I wouldn't trade for anything, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Ah, I like that.
But I mean, our favorite experiences is the contrast. I love playing the weirdest little rundown shows. If there's two people who are like having the time of their life, you know, it's the best show you've ever played. I don't know. There's just, I always look for that. Is someone really truly connecting? Because we've had some cool experiences. We got to open for U2 in Baltimore once on a whim, and hitting the stage to 15,000 people was pretty intense, you know. And there were people, for the most part, people were like, "What the hell? Who is this?" You know. But I heard some people yell out, "Saratoga, the Figs," you know. So I knew there was somebody out there.
That's awesome.
That's what makes it worth it.
Yeah. And you know, when people sing along to your songs, that's pretty powerful.
And you have an upcoming show in Connecticut, which I'm bummed I'm 1 year away from. Perks of being 20. Yeah. I live real close too, so I'll have to talk to you after, see if we could plan something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. But we play right in the window, I think, too. So
yeah, and the Calf 9, yeah, right. Let me just stand outside. But Calf 9's a great venue. They've had a lot of cool, and I've heard you guys play there before too. But you're playing with, if I'm not mistaken, the Zambonis and the Big Fat Combo, which is really cool.
Yeah.
You want to talk more about that gig on April 19th at 9 p.m., I believe?
Yeah. I'm pretty good buds with the Zambonis guys. We've been talking about doing a show for a while.
That's awesome.
And it's real important to network with your friends. And New Haven, we haven't necessarily built a following, and so I was talking to our Connecticut friends and saying, let's put a show together, and it'd be better to play. Lately, the Figs have been wanting to do evenings because we have so much material. We kind of like stretching out and playing a couple hours. But then you don't get to play with other bands and kind of share the experience. So that was sort of the intention behind that show.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know. And the Zambonis are fun as heck, you know.
Yeah, we have I was talking to Dave Snyder recently, and he's going to come up next week on the show. I said I had Pete, and he was like, all right, I'll come up.
Yeah.
So we just get the gig because I want to get everybody knowing, because I'm a friend of Dean Falcone, who was in a couple bands, and Tommy Oberon as well has been on the show. I'm trying to get Dean on. We've had a lot of connections throughout, and I've learned so much about Calf 9, and I'm over here like, he's like coming to see me, like I can't. I'm 20, and it's so annoying.
Oh, that's the worst, man. The last year. It'll go quickly.
Oh, yeah. It will, but it's like I don't get to see the Figs. I don't get to see, but you know what? There's always opportunities in the future, you know. So, and hey, I got to interview you. So.
Yeah.
Tyler and I got the opportunity, so it's amazing.
Never say never.
Yeah,
guys.
right. Perfect.
Yeah, Pete, are you gonna be in Philly sometime in the future? Or?
Yeah, I think our next Philly show is October 16 or 17 at Boot and Saddle. I'll have to check the date, but I'm pretty sure October.
Oh, Tyler, head out there.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Definitely. That'd be awesome.
See what I'm doing that day.
Yeah, because it's just cool that we have this opportunity. So thank you for coming up.
Of course.
To have this opportunity to be able to talk to these artists who either we gotten recently into for the power pop sound, or we've known, and it's cool to have like a mix. Sometimes Tyler will know more than I do, of course, right, Tyler? And there's sometimes where I'll know an artist, and it's just cool that we're able to contact you guys through Facebook and
you'd
have
be
you come up.
surprised the stuff that I've gotten him into.
Oh, it's got jellyfish. Jellyfish is all your fault.
Yeah, that's a good thing about Facebook. I know we kind of hate on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like such a bunch of crap, but I love the connectability of it. Honestly,
actually, exactly. Yeah.
I can't remember. I do remember. I just don't know how it worked before. You know, I did a lot of touring before the internet, and no cell phones, no email, and it's just funny to think how we actually did it.
Built a fan base too, to have people remember you and have people go, "Oh, I remember seeing them." You know, the physical side, but it's not nowadays. It's so much easier with everything like at the touch of your finger. It goes both ways, though. Exactly how you said it. I mean, I love to have Facebook has the power pop groups, but let me tell you, the worst people to talk to. Michael Collins from the band The Finns, and also a band called Victory Lap, actually messaged me one day after I left one going, "I'm sorry that happened to you," because I posted a Big Star song, and I got like hated on. I'm like, geez, I thought they were power pop.
I know. Never be a group of, or never be
yeah.
a member of a group that would have you, right? That's the
Yeah.
old Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
It's like I love that there's people in there that are in bands that I know. Like, for example, if you were in one and you would comment like a Figs song, they'd be like, "You don't know the Figs." It's like, but I am the Figs. Like, I'm in the Figs. Like, it's so weird. These people have nothing else.
I got in an argument about the Beach Boys online with someone who
Jeez.
said,
Oh my
they
God.
said the Beach Boys have never played on any of their records, and I was like, well, in fact, they played on quite a few of them. Yes, the Wrecking Crew came in, and this guy was like, oh well, clearly, you don't know what you're talking about, the Wrecking Crew. And then I sent him this interview I did with the director of the film The Wrecking Crew. Oh, well, you can like this interview I did with the director of the film if you want, but.
And then you can quote it. You can quote it. You can, and they'll still argue like, no, F you.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever, man. But it was cool because I've met so many people. Like, I met Dave Snyder because somebody made a comment about me sending a band invite link. And he was like, oh, he goes, have you heard of my band? I was like, yes, I actually have. I know the Zambonis. So I was like, we actually talked, and I said, yeah, I have Pete coming up, and I'll have you come up at some point, too, to talk about the show. But yeah, no, definitely. But thanks for having you on. I guess we can cut it here. That'd be perfect.
All right, great.
Yeah, thanks, Pete.
You bet. So,
all right.
And you guys
perfect.
Post it somewhere, and I can.
We're gonna post it right up on YouTube. We have iTunes as well. I'm updating right now. I think today I'm gonna post 3 more episodes from the regular Jebb and Greencast stuff because we have our older stuff. We posted all of that. We've had like Arthur Roberts on from the Posies and stuff like that.
Cool.
So we're just trying to update.
Yeah, we've
everything.
had like a lot of different stuff.
So it's really cool that we were able to continue and
Great.
stuff. And Pete, if you're in the area of New Haven, if you got time, I live pretty close. I don't know if you want to meet up for lunch or something.
I'd love to. It's most likely that I'm going to be getting in on the skin of my teeth and so forth. But
yeah.
Oh, no worries.
Come by for sound check or something. I'm sure.
Should be able to. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. Yeah.
And if you're ever next time you're in Philly, Pete.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
For sure.
Keep in touch,
right,
you guys.
Cool. Yeah, because I'll just come by
cool.
for sound check. Yeah, definitely will. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jebb, I'll send you this over WeTransfer in a minute.
Perfect, and then I can just mix the beginning of the episode, and then I'll do if you want, or Tyler, if you want to record a separate. Since you introduced the episode, I'll do an intro just saying we had to mix.
That's fine.
Perfect. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, Pete, it was great having you. Thank
you so much.
All right, take care,
Have a good one.
Bye.
Later.